Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, I'm Greg, and there's a few things we're going to talk about today that all deal with Copilot. This thing's really changed over time too, and in today we're going to talk about just an introduction to the features and just AI's evolution. We'll also talk about an in-depth look at the interface, the settings, the functionality, and we'll talk about writing and creative content generation. Then there'll be some live demonstrations, give you some tips on using Copilot and customizing it. And then we'll talk about some overall common pitfalls and do a bit of a recap of features and some future updates that Copilot has for us. So, in today's class, for this session, I want to give you an overview of Copilot's capabilities. The idea is that this is an assistant. It's an assistant that is going to help you leverage machine learning, write better code, automate repetitive tasks, boost productivity. It's all powered by OpenAI and it integrates with lots of different platforms. One of the ones that you've probably heard of is GitHub, but it also works with Visual Studio and a few other platforms too. Copilot is designed to make the end user's life a lot simpler. It provides intelligent suggestions, it automates repetitive tasks, it's also very user friendly and has all kinds of different customization options that allow end users to tailor their experience to whatever it is that your needs and preferences are. It also integrates with all kinds of different platforms, which makes it easier to use. It also has tons of different functionality that is within all kinds of different types of workflows that you can use. And it basically saves you time and increases your productivity by using it. Now let's talk about the evolution of AI. AI has come a long way. And in this section, I want to explore the historical milestones in AI development from its early days to modern applications as we see today. We'll also talk about some of the different trends too. AI has come a long way. In the early days, with modern applications that range from anything from self-driving cars to personalized medicine, AI has the potential of being able to transform lots of different domains, including healthcare, education, and finance. One of the earliest tests of AI was the Turing test that was developed by Alan Turing back in the 1950s. And this was developed in order to really test AI's capability. When it comes to the interface itself, as I mentioned, it's fairly easy to use. It is very user friendly and very simple to explore as well. The Copilot interface is completely customizable. It allows users to change the layout and the design to basically suit whatever it is that you're trying to attempt to do with AI with Copilot. Users can also customize the settings and optimize their workflow by doing that. Now let's talk about how Copilot works with writing assistants. It works with many different applications. It can help with code generation. It definitely helps with debugging, but you can also do things like write essays or summarize your writing. It also allows you to do creative content generation. So if you're kind of stuck and you don't know what else to write, this is what Copilot is good at. It can help you kind of unblock that writer's block that you may have, or help you to generate a summarization of something that you're working with, again, to kind of help better condense the information that you're working with and not kind of have paragraph after paragraph of the same information. Let's talk about how it does that. With code generation, it can generate code snippets and provide different suggestions when you're debugging. It actually reads your code and makes different suggestions on how to change things or how to improve the code or make it more efficient. This saves developers a ton of time, not just time, but also effort too. Those of you that program know that programming can be extremely frustrating sometimes. And this helps to alleviate some of that frustration. Copilot also uses machine learning algorithms to analyze the code and provide intelligent suggestions. So it's not just throwing stuff out there as if you were Googling things. This is actually intelligent suggestions based on the code that you've written. It can also assist with things like essay writing, um, unblock that writer's block that you might have, or summarize a particular article that you've read, or even an entire document that you have. Even a 900-page document, it's kind of nice to have something else read that document and give you the highlights of it. It also helps you with sentence structure. It helps you with grammar and vocabulary. Keep in mind, it is AI, and your skills and your decisions that you make are important and shouldn't be set aside. Basically, you have the last say. And remember that. These are just different suggestions. It might be right. It might also be wrong, too. We still need a human being for that. Copilot, as I mentioned, can generate great summaries and paraphrase different text. And it allows you to kind of get back into what you were doing very quickly and very easily without having to read an entire article on something. Copilot can also generate creative content like poems, stories, and even write music. It can even generate images too. And we've probably seen lots of that in the news. It can analyze vast amounts of text and generate original ideas from that text. Copilot can also give you different suggestions if you're trying to rhyme or you're trying to meter whatever it is that you're speaking or talking about. In addition to writing assistance, Copilot can also assist with informational inquiries and explanations. Honestly, I use Copilot more than I use Google to find stuff on the internet. I mean, come on, let's face it. A lot of times when you Google stuff, the first, I don't know, it seems like dozen entries, they're all sponsored. They're all advertising. And it's not really what you want sometimes. When you use Copilot to search for things, your experience is very different. And not just different, but it can provide explanations of exactly what you're looking at and provide further explanations if needed. So in this section, we're going to talk about how Copilot can generate some of these different explanations. Copilot can handle a wide range of informational queries. It includes questions about history, science, technology. Honestly, sky's the limit in a sense. Copilot uses machine learning algorithms to analyze the text and generate intelligent responses. And it really does. As I've mentioned, I use this over Google when I'm looking for information because sometimes I need that extra information or that extra explanation on exactly what it is that I've found. Copilot can generate these detailed explanations for complex topics. It can take things like calculus and physics, which in general are pretty complex conversations that you have with people, or complex understandings of some of the different theories. And Copilot can take those theories and break them down, and can take very complex things and break them down into simple and easy understanding, easy able to understand explanations. So you're not just left there sitting there scratching your head, wondering what different things mean or how to apply to things too. It also has practical applications in many different domains, like education, customer service, healthcare. And in this section, we're going to talk about some different examples on how Copilot can be practical for you. So, what's next? First, I want to take a Word document and I want to show you how Copilot works within Word. Let me take a Word document that I have here. And using this Word document that I have, I can open up Copilot by clicking the button on the far right-hand side of the home toolbar. Now, if you don't have Copilot, you won't have this button. So you need a Copilot, and it needs to be installed inside of Word. When I open up Copilot, I can get it to answer different questions about the document. For instance, right away, I can get it to summarize the document for me. By clicking on Summarize the document, I merely have to wait for the summary instead of reading all 7 pages of this document. Here, it gives me the highlights, key features, pre-sale and pricing, performance and ratings, and specific advantages. I can also get the summary to be a little bit more casual, not so formal. So within a few minutes, it takes a few minutes and it generates that summary for me. Eventually. So slowly but surely, it generates my summary. And there's my more casual summary. I can also ask it this question. Are there any documents related to this? This actually goes through my existing documents and finds any other documents that reference this document in just about any way. And as you can see, it does. There are different documents, and it also mentions that I actually have several versions of this document all embedded inside of this one document that I have here. This saves me a lot of time, saves me a lot of frustration. And when I'm dealing with really long documents, it makes it so that I don't actually have to read the document in order to get an understanding of what's inside of this document. It's almost like having an assistant, in a sense. An assistant that goes over, reads the document, and then kind of gives me the high points of the document. Let's take a look at another program for a minute. Let's take a look at Excel. Here I have a very typical Excel worksheet. Nice little spreadsheet in front of me. I have lots of different tabs in the workbook, and I have one particular table. So what are the key features that you're looking for inside of a spreadsheet, though? Is a table. To make a table inside of a spreadsheet, you just have to go to Home and choose Format as Table. There's huge advantages to doing that, but that's a whole other class. With this, I can open up Copilot and ask questions about the table. Again, on the far right-hand side, on the Home toolbar, I have a button for Copilot. When I click onto Copilot, it opens up a panel on the right-hand side and allows me to ask questions. I can show data insights. I can get it to suggest a custom formula for one of the columns. I can even get it to suggest conditional formatting for this too. That's when you get different metrics involved in highlighting and kind of presenting the information in a very different way. But I'm going to ask it a question. I'd like to know what percentage does shipping make up in relation to the package total? Now, notice one thing. I'm not making any cell references. I'm actually using the words that appear in the table as headings. When I hit my Enter key, this takes a look at the data, analyzes the data, reads all the headings, and actually understands my question, and comes back with an intelligent suggestion. I don't even have to know what the formula is. If I want to add this to my spreadsheet, all I have to do is click on Insert Column. That's it. Inserts the column. As I mentioned, I also have other things that sit here too. And sometimes you don't know what to ask, and that's what the book is for. I can click on the book, head to ask, or head to understand, or create formulas, and get lots of different suggestions, which is actually quite helpful. But that, well, that's just Excel. Let's take a look at PowerPoint for a minute. With PowerPoint, I may decide to create a presentation. I can create a presentation about a particular topic, or I can even create a presentation from a file. This one can take a while to generate. So a lot of times when I do this, if it's a decent sized file of, say, 50, 60 pages, then I usually go and I usually make myself a coffee. Then I come back and it's usually finished. So that one's not exactly quick. But I could create a presentation about different topics. For instance, Copilot. When I hit my enter key, it starts to generate my presentation for me. It pulls everything together for me all in one shot. And then to generate the slides, I have a button for that. I click on generate slides, and in no time at all, it starts to add not just the slides, but it lays the slides out properly, adds any graphics, and even adds some speaker notes, which is also kind of handy. It does the same thing with a file. If I have different files that I want to build presentations on, I can do that. But I can also build a single slide on a particular topic. Slowly and surely, it creates my presentation. You have to admit, this saves you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. Animations and everything are included, which again is not too bad. For slide notes, I actually have slide notes. If I open up one of the slides, all the notes are at the bottom, and it's pretty much done the entire presentation for me. You got to admit, not bad. Let's take a look at another product I know that you're familiar with, and that's Outlook. With Outlook, I'm going to create a brand new email message here. So I'll create a brand new email message right here, just like this. And Copilot isn't on the end of this toolbar, it's actually in the middle. It also has a drop-down. There's two different options when you write emails. You can draft with Copilot, or you can coach with Copilot. With coaching, it's going to take a look at what you wrote and give you some suggestions. With drafting, you're going to tell it what to write, and then it's going to generate it for you. So with drafting with Copilot, I can write whatever it is that I want to say. Hello, team. We need to get together for a status meeting. So not too terribly complicated, but I do want it to sound a little bit more professional. So I can click on adjust, and I can make it sound more formal. I can also change the length of it and say, well, I don't want to keep it short. I kind of want to make this a little bit more wordy. So I can choose medium. Then on the far right-hand side, I click on generate. This very quickly starts to generate a paragraph for me. Hello, team. I hope you're all doing well. I'm writing to inform you that we need to get together, and you can read the rest. But maybe a little bit too formal. I can change that and adjust it and make it sound a little bit more casual. Again, in no time at all, it does make it sound a little bit more casual, and quite honestly, sounds a little bit more like me. If I wanted to get another try at it, I can get it to regenerate, and I can also keep this if I do want to keep it. If I click on keep, all I have to do is add my signature, and, well, away I go. When it comes to Teams, Copilot is embedded inside of Teams. Here is my real Teams, and Copilot appears inside of Chat, which is a little bit different. When I click onto Copilot, it shows me all of the different suggestions and things that I can ask it, like, what's the latest from Great Canadian Training? It'll organize my emails, my chat, and my files for me. Or I can ask it when my last meeting with Joy was. Within seconds, it lets me know that last week you received 2 emails from Joy. Yep, on Friday and on Monday. We follow up with different conversations, one of them being a dry run for this presentation. I didn't have to search for email. I didn't have to look for anything, which is kind of nice. Instead of constantly searching and constantly looking for different things, all of it right here, right at my fingertips. It's like having a conversation with an assistant. Go get this, go find this for me. There's even references. These are the actual emails. So I don't have to go through my inbox looking for these things. And really think about that for a second. How much time do you waste looking for different things in your inbox when if you just had an assistant, an intern, right? That would sure make life a lot easier. Now, let's get back to the presentation. So, to get the most out of Copilot, it's important that you customize the settings to your individual preferences and needs. It's also important to remember that this is a tool. This isn't going to replace your own skills or your own judgment. So, make sure that you explore all of Copilot's capabilities, like coding generation, debug assistance, informational queries and explanations. And by using it effectively and efficiently, you can definitely increase your productivity. Now, there are some common misunderstandings that users might have when using it. Some users believe that it can replace human judgment or creativity. And I can honestly tell you, I don't see that. I mean, you see it generate photographs and you hear it generate music, but to actually come up with an original piece of music that becomes a hit, even human beings are still struggling with that. Who knows why different hits become hits? And, well, it's also your judgment too. And it doesn't have that. It doesn't have the ability to judge whether something is better than another thing, whether one picture is better than another, or one song is better than another song. So you still need human intervention for that. It's also important to realize that any suggestions that it makes, anything that it builds, needs to be reviewed and edited for accuracy. In fact, just the other day, I caught a few things inside a Copilot that were actually incorrect and quite obsolete. Now, additionally, it might not be able to help with every single use case, but for the things that it does help you with, this is definitely a handy tool that you need in your toolbox. The future of AI is very bright. With different advances in machine learning and natural language processing and computer vision paving the way for new applications, AI is poised to transform various domains, including software development, customer service, and education. Copilot's a valuable and very powerful AI assistant that is transforming the way that we work. With its intelligent suggestions, automation of repetitive tasks, and detailed explanations, Copilot has the potential to revolutionize various different domains. As I mentioned, software development, education, music, art, in many different ways, as well as more common things like customer service, accounting, marketing. So if this is not something that you've used before, really take a good hard look at Copilot. It really is a definite tool that I use almost on a daily basis now. And I don't use Google as nearly as much as I used to. I find Google frustrating. It used to be a great product. Search engines used to be great products. But I find now it's more about advertising products more than anything else and pushing different things on to the user that they might not have asked for. So with Copilot, give that a shot for searching one time, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you get back. Now it looks like I have a few questions here. Let me get to some.
Just before you do that, I'm just going to jump in. Please keep there's some great questions coming in. Please keep putting your questions in. Just before we take them, I just want to show you guys one quick thing. Give me one sec. Perfect. So if you do want more information about Copilot on our site, if you go down to courses under Copilot, we actually have three Copilot courses, and they're not leveled like Excel, where you would take Excel level one and then two and then three. They're more based on who you are as a user and what you want to do with Copilot. So the first course here is 3 hours. It's talking about Copilot for the modern workplace, and it's for managers that are thinking of maybe getting Copilot for their department, and they want to see, how it works, what are the limitations, and how they could integrate it into their workflows. We also have getting started with Copilot in your Microsoft applications. That's really focusing on how Copilot integrates with Microsoft, all the applications. And then the third one is when you have Copilot, it's a very in-depth course with lots of hands-on, obviously going through all the integration, but also one of the tricks with Copilot is being able to prompt it properly, or I believe Greg said in his presentation, the questions that you ask, by slightly tweaking your prompt or your question, it could change the results that you get. And as you see here, we have listed all the public classes. You can always see more information or more details about the course. Um, and you can register for public classes. So that's for individuals and small groups. And then you can always request private training. And we'll always meet with clients if you want to customize it or you have any questions about training. And you can also access all our courses under our catalog. And just so you know, Great Canadian Training has over 80 courses in our catalog that we offer training and consulting services on. One other just quick thing I want to show you guys, thank you so much for coming to our webinar today. We do have more webinars coming up. Next month, Greg's actually going to talk about Power BI. And we did one last year that talked about the basics. So you could rewatch or review the basics. He's going to do a refresher, but he's going to go deeper into Power BI. Our trainer, Christine, is going to talk about Outlook and time management. That's a very popular topic. We have how to keep up with the new features in Microsoft 365. We know Microsoft is continually changing them. I know Greg told me the other day, what did you say? Like Copilot probably has 100% more functionality from like last spring to now.
Oh
So
god.
I think most people have seen, oh, I went to use Teams and something changed or something's been updated. And then we also have another popular topic, minute taking. And then our trainer, Gloria, is going to talk about conditional formatting in Excel. All our webinars are free and you can sign up online. And then you can always access previous webinars because we always record them, either off our YouTube channel or if you go to previous webinars. I also saw, I'll just answer one question I saw that came up. Someone asked if there would be a recording. Yes, there will. Within about 48 hours, Susan will share an email with everyone that signed up, and it will have the link to the recording. We always have a handout with our webinars for you guys to use, and anything that we reference. And then it will also show up on our previous webinars page and our YouTube channel. So sorry about that, Greg.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, keep putting your questions in the chat. Greg, do you want me to read them out or do you want to?
I'll read them out here.
Okay,
First
perfect.
question: does this mean it will only work if my spreadsheet is formatted as a table? No, it will actually work even if it's not in a table, but you won't be able to use the headings like I did. You'll have to use cell references. And if you don't want to use cell references, then yeah, you got to place it into a table. And then it understands exactly what column you're talking about. And will give you some different suggestions that will make a lot more sense rather than trying to figure out cell addresses. How do you load Copilot into Word, Excel, PowerPoint? Okay, just being real. uh, you buy the license, you install it, wait 24 hours. All right. I find that it takes about 24 hours for everything to get it installed into all of your different programs. The license has to be assigned to you. So, from 24 hours from the license being assigned to you, you may need to reboot your computer. But once you do, Copilot will be sitting there just as buttons, just waiting for you. But give it a good 24 hours, I find. That was my experience with it. Would the deck be accessible? Uh, would it include alternative text? No, the deck is not accessible when you create the PowerPoint presentation. So that's where the human intervention comes in. There is an accessibility tool, but if you've ever used the accessibility tool, you still need a human being to go through and make sure that it is actually accessible. And as far as the alternative text, it does generate alternative text, but it's not good. It's not good. You still need a human being. Greg. Oh, gotcha. It's not a question. I do see Copilot in my Teams chat. I don't see Copilot in my Teams chat. So same thing. You'd have to wait 24 hours, reboot, log in, and it should be waiting for you. What about ChatGPT or Gemini comparison? Do you like? Well, see, that's the funny thing is that Copilot incorporates all that stuff. Not Gemini, but ChatGPT and a bunch of other large learning language models. So if you were to use ChatGPT, it would be like using a fraction of Copilot. I have found ChatGPT to be a little bit frustrating. Most of the information in there is old. So for my purposes, it just doesn't work. If you want to look for historic information, it's not bad, but because it doesn't integrate with Microsoft products, not really. Copilot just kind of wins out. And I know it sounds like I'm kind of pushing, Microsoft stuff, and I don't want to sound that way, but sometimes Microsoft just does it right. And I have to say, when I first started using things like ChatGPT, I really wasn't impressed. And I really wasn't impressed when I first started using Copilot either. I was more impressed than ChatGPT. And I find Gemini really just another version of ChatGPT. It does have more current information. So the language model is definitely more current. But just the way that ChatGPT integrates with all my other products just makes it so much more convenient. And I am an Android person. Like, I do, all my phones are Android, but I find that I use Copilot a lot more, and it's just because it integrates with everything that I work with.
Well, can I add one thing about that? I think too, Copilot always provides references when it gives you
Yeah, that's a
responses
good
to
point.
things,
Yeah, I like
and
that.
ChatGPT doesn't. Yeah.
So after a few questions in Edge, now I'm going to tell Copilot to start fresh, not to reuse some of its previous questions. At the moment, I restart my browser and then I ask a new question. Well, uh, when you open up Copilot, and I'm just going to share up my screen again so you can see this. But when you open up Copilot in Edge, you do it with this little button, right? So you click this little button and it opens, and you have a choice between work. So this would be all of your work files and everything work related. And then you got web. See where it says new chat? That's what you do. You click on new chat and that just resets it. So when I click on new chat, it's a brand new chat and it won't do it because this is a new chat, but it kind of forgets what you were talking about. It resets and you can start asking it questions again. And you might be surprised. A lot of times, sometimes you get different answers, which is different. Definitely different.
Greg,
So
is
I'll
that only in the paid version? Does it look different if you're using the free version?
the free version does look a little bit different, but it has the same functionality where you're constantly starting new chats. Is there a refresh button if uh, uh, if it gets bugged or stuck? Okay, it does get stuck. There is no refresh button. Um, Close the browser. Count to 30. Yeah, happened last night. It happens a couple times. All right. So I'm also not going to tell you that this stuff is bug free. But one of the bugs that I have come across is that Copilot, you ask it a question, you can click on stop generating, but sometimes even that gets stuck. I find that you've got to close the browser, count to 30, because I've tried 10, tried 20, 30 seem to work. And once I count to 30, it it's no longer stuck and you can ask it a question again. Does Copilot go through our files saved under the cloud? They do. If you're using work. So when you're asking Copilot questions, you will be able to choose work or web. If it's web, it sticks to the web. If it's work, then it's going to go through your files and find all your files that are saved within SharePoint, Teams, and of course, OneDrive as well. I used to be able to talk to Copilot, but the microphone has disappeared. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. And they want you to use the microphone capability in the software itself. So both when I'm using the web version that is part of Office 365, I've noticed that the microphone has gone away, um, which is a little bit annoying, but it's expecting that you're going to turn the microphone on and off through the operating system. So that's different. And yeah, not a not a feature that I'm excited about. I was sad to see that kind of feature go away. So yeah, there's a little button that you have, a little microphone button, and when you click the microphone button in Windows, then you can start talking to Windows. You can start talking in any application at all, uh, and then that way, yeah, you can start talking to Copilot again. It's on the toolbar, and it's right beside, or it's supposed to be on your toolbar, and it's right beside uh, your time, your internet, and your language keyboard. So there's a little button that's there. You'll be able to click on it, and you'll just have to make sure that uh, you set the different settings up for that. So there's a little bit to that. Like there's a little bit more to this. It's not just as simple as clicking on the button. You have to set it up, and then there's a few hoops that you got to go through to turn on voice for the operating system again. Yeah, down on the right hand side. Yeah, you got it. And when you click on it, there's a whole bunch of setup stuff that you got to go through. If you're on September release of Windows, Copilot is an opt-in. You have to bring it on your toolbar. Yeah, they took it off the toolbar. Yeah, Copilot used to be on your toolbar. Um, I'll have to double check that myself, but my understanding is that they want you using it in the browser and they don't want it part of the operating system anymore. And that might be that might be because of a couple of lawsuits that Microsoft is going through right now, um, forcing people to use some of their products. So yeah, I was disappointed to see that go from my toolbar. But yeah, using the browser, it's just as good in the browser, if not a little bit better in the browser, I find. Are there any privacy considerations when using Copilot? Microsoft actually has an entire website that is dedicated to privacy and privacy laws. and you have full control over what information is being used inside of Copilot. So, unfortunately, I don't have that website available in front of me right now. But
We can
yes,
include it in the follow-up email.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole website that talks about the privacy issues because, as you can imagine, you are not the only one to ask that question. Everybody's been asking this question, and Microsoft does have a canned response for it. And unlike other products that we know of that are in the news because they've been selling our stuff, our personal information to other people, Microsoft doesn't do that. That's that's not part of their that's not part of their thing. They don't do that. They have government contracts, which also kind of puts your mind at rest because they do operate at a certain privacy level, and that spills over to the public as well. So Microsoft is really committed to privacy, and you'll definitely see that on their website because that's something that comes up a lot, and it's something that everybody should be aware of. When you're using different free products, you need to know exactly what you're giving away. And when you're using Microsoft products, it's different. They make their money off of licensing. They don't make it selling off information that you search or information that's in your inbox or information that's in your chats. That's other companies that do that. But yeah, when you check out that website, it's pretty impressive. Any other questions at all? Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, no problem. And if you have questions, you're welcome to send them to us after. And as mentioned, we'll make sure we include that website in Susan's follow-up email that we'll send out. It's usually about 48 hours. And yes, you'll be able to find out on YouTube our previous webinars, but we'll also send it in that email. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found the information helpful. And in that follow-up email, we also have a survey. So you're more than welcome to give us your feedback on what you liked, what we could improve, and if there's topics you want to see in the future. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you.